Hey guys! Alright, so we are back to my Flip That Zoo series, and we see the entrance there. So I figured we're going to just kind of clean up the entrance area, get rid of all this stuff for now. Don't worry, it's going to come back. Because I want to do it really nice, possibly two-story building. So we cleared out the entire entrance. I moved things around, I deleted a bunch of stuff, got rid of all the pathing, because that pathing was just so janky. It was horrible, though. Pathing was just horrible. So, and I wanted to put it on a grid so I can make it nice and even, easier to, get from. And then, beyond just moving the stuff, this is the stuff I created, so I didn't want to get rid of it, so I moved it. And then I tried to figure out this pathing here. I was like, can I just start from here? And then I was like, no, I can't. So I got rid of that. And then I moved the other things that were there, got rid of the pathing that was attached to the entrance, cleared that out, and then, as I said, used the grid pathing to straighten it all out, make it all better, so that it's all even and beautiful and it's easy to kind of just lay around the zoo. It honestly just gives it a cleaner feeling, a cleaner sensation when it's not all higgledy-piggledy. Because I want it to look really nice. That's what we're doing. We're flipping the zoo. We're making it gorgeous. We're making it beautiful. So I created a square because I had this idea in my head. I had this blueprint of I created basically like this stairway that I used in one of my other zoos. It was actually for a collaboration with the Collabricorns. It was called the Bug Hole, and I loved the staircase idea, so I created a blueprint of just the basic stairs. And then I figured I would do that for our entrance here. Once I got it finished getting it all cleaned up, I realized that actually belonged there and it was missing, so I had to grab that and I slid it over there and reattached it to the building it was supposed to be part of. Totally my bad. So I moved that back over there because I worked really hard in that building and I didn't want it to go anywhere. I liked it, so I figured we'll repurpose it. That's how you flip stuff, right? You don't always just delete everything and start from scratch. Sometimes you repurpose things, like you repurpose the cabinets or you repurpose the flooring or whatever. So we're repurposing, moving, getting things cleared out so that I could put the staircases in, which you guys are going to see in just a minute. I had to press play for a minute to get those people to get the heck out of the middle of my area. Usually they all disappear, but every now and again you'll have a few stragglers. You just grab them in groups and move them and get them out of your area. And then I had to figure out how to lay the stairs. There's my stairs that I had created a nice beautiful blueprint for. They're a little lopsided, but I figured it out, straightened it out, got it pretty. Then I had to use the cloning tool to drop it down deep enough, and I couldn't remember how deep it was. I couldn't remember if it was 8, 4, or what. So it took me a few moments to remember how deep it was. So you'll see me adding and deleting the cloning tool until I try the final one, which I think was it was very accurate. It was really close to being accurate, which is right there. And then I just had to adjust and move things around, clean out the entire center. I really was trying to use the level flattener so that everything would be nice, even, and level. It doesn't always work the way we want it to. And then I realized the pathing system had to be adjusted. So I started messing with the stairs, and then it dawned on me, oh shoot, pathing system. So yeah, there was adjusting and making it all flat and pretty, and I was getting excited, and then I was getting ahead of myself and realized it was going to be a lot more tweaking than I thought it was going to be, which is fine. I mean, that's just, ideas are ideas, but sometimes you've got to adjust the ideas as you're moving along, and change them, adapt, basically, and realize that things aren't going to go how you want in your head always. So you've got to just kind of adapt, adjust, move. I undid some movements, redid some movements, adjusted some stuff. This is, I think, where it dawned on me, or maybe it wasn't here, that I still needed the path to go down into the place to be usable. So anyway, so adjusting the stairs, making it all even, and I was really spending some time on that, making it look good, deleting the parts I didn't need. And that's just part of planning. You know, when you start creating stuff in Planet Zoo and you create a blueprint that you're like, oh, I love this and I want to use it again in another zoo, you create a blueprint. And that's what I did. And I started to sync it here and get it all lined up the same way I did on the other end. And I'm trying to remember when it like the Jinkies moment happened of, Jinkies, totally gonna have to put pathing in here. You'll see it happen in a second. You'll see me pause for a second, and it's gonna be to where I'm like adjusting, making it pretty, getting rid of all the long grass, thinking like, yeah, this is working great. This is gonna be beautiful. It's gonna be perfect. And then I'm like, oh wait, shoot. But it will work out. Don't worry. Have faith that all ideas, even though they may have to be adjusted, will work out in the end. You guys will see how I kind of just adjust and move things around. I really love the way this ended up looking. It worked so beautifully. I didn't want a fountain like smack in the middle of the entrance. I didn't want to do your typical habitat right there at the beginning of the entrance. I really wanted something different that I hadn't seen anybody else do. I'm not saying anybody else hasn't done it yet, but I haven't seen it, so I just kind of thought this would be a unique way to have an entrance right there at the beginning, to have a little like food court almost right there in the beginning, because when families get tired or they're I was trying to see what I could do to cover that hole up, and then I was like, that's not gonna work, so I put those back there. It's like kind of like you want to have a place where families can sit and relax while spreading out amongst your zoo. And I figured that this center point area, even though it wasn't centered with the entrance, which is fine with me, because on the other side I'm probably going to end up putting some sort of walk-in habitat. I'm not sure yet. I haven't decided. This is where it dawned on me that I needed pathing. And anybody that has played Planet Zoo knows that the pathing can be a beast. It really can be probably one of the more challenging things you're going to do in the game. So I had to figure out how I was going to do it. And then I remembered a trick about basically about using a staffing building or an eatery building, basically one of the small buildings, and laying it out and then putting the path down, and it'll create a staircase. And it'll basically make a path happen. You just have to figure it out. And that took me a little bit to figure out. I was like, wait, pause. Yay, Planet Zoo pathing! But it works out. It's going to work out great. It's going to look great. And I remember that you kind of have to lay the path you're going to first before you could lay the stairs second. So once I got that figured out, we were kind of golden. It started working out in my favor. Everything was starting to look good. And then, yeah. And then here's the trick. This is where you just start laying those out. And then you can't delete the ones on the end first. You actually have to delete the ones in the middle first, because otherwise they disappear. The pathings disappear. So you delete the ones in the middle, you relay the paths, delete, relay, and then you're ended up, and see, because I knew I was covering this with the stairs, I really wasn't stressed over having it look pretty. I don't need it to look pretty. I just need it to be functional so that groups of people could go up and down the pathing. So, yeah, so this pretty much is wash, rinse, repeat on both ends. I decided to not do all four sides, even though it's going to have four sides of stairs. We don't need it to be functional on all four sides. I figured functionality on two sides was enough. And then the others would just be for looks, just to look pretty. Yeah, so basically same trick. Same thing. You guys are just going to see a wash, rinse, repeat. So I do that, set that all up, just going to kind of zoom through here. Yeah. So let me know what you guys are thinking. If you guys have a faster, easier way to do this, please tell me. I think with Planet Zoo, pathing has always been my biggest challenge. Like, I'm pretty good at a lot of stuff, but pathing has always been my Achilles heel, so to speak. Yeah, and then there's just adjusting, moving the stairs again, adding an extra... by the way, stairs, those I created out of wall pieces from the Arctic pack. So it's not like typical stairs. If you are new to Planet Zoo and you stress out about being creative, one of the number one things I tell everybody who starts playing Planet Zoo is just because a piece says it is something or does something doesn't mean you have to use it in that manner. You can literally take any piece in the game and make it whatever you want to make it. If you want to make walls a staircase, then you've just got to stack them properly, change the height on some of them, and you bam, you have a staircase. Um, I've done that with a few different things, tactics, because I just love the way it looked when they became stairs. I thought it looked really, I don't know, I just like the pattern, I like the way it looked. And then I had to figure out how I wanted this to go. This took a little bit of time for me to kind of figure out which pattern I wanted as far as that to layout goes. But yeah, it all ends up looking really, really good. It's kind of like a hexagonal cross stitch type thing. And then I just evened these out, made sure to up and down them so they wouldn't look glitchy, and which is a trick in Planet Zoo if you're new to Planet Zoo. If it looks like it has some glitch happening, just move it up and down for a second, even it back out, and it should stop. I can't remember what that's called right now, but yeah. You see how it looks a little glitchy, so I just moved it around a bit, readjusted, and Bob Schrunkle. And then kind of washed, rinse, and repeat with the other sides, adjusted these, which by the way, you're going to see later on, I'm going to like basically kick myself for spending so much time adjusting these, because the pieces that I'm going to lay down in the middle or the rest of the food court basically is going to be like, oh, I didn't need to do all this. But that is another thing about Planet Zoo. Sometimes you overthink things. I could not grasp all things at once and just move them all as a group because they're wall pieces. Wall pieces are unique. So that is something to keep in mind when you're doing stuff like this. Sometimes you might have to do annoying, complicated, tedious tasks to make it look fabulous. But that is the key to getting these really creative pieces looking beautiful. Is don't be afraid of monotony. Don't be afraid of tedious like tasks you have to do over and over, because to make it look good, sometimes you have to do some monotony. Sometimes you have to do the same thing over and over. So I think it's one of the reasons why when I'm streaming, there's often times when I will not sit there and lay rock work during a stream, because I don't want to drive everybody crazy with my 10 million rocks that I lay. But oftentimes laying rocks, you have to do the same thing over and over, twisting it, turning it, moving it to make it look good. So I'm getting rid of the pieces I don't need to lay down the pieces that I do need. Doing that to help lessen the piece count, which, I mean, we're already blasting the piece count out of the water on this puppy. But to do what you need to do, you just kind of go with it at some point, you know? So this is a whole bunch of adjusting, moving it, making it pretty, and then putting it the same thing on the next end, adjusting it, making it pretty. But yeah, so this is the part of the zoo that I decided to flip, was this food court. We'll get to a habitat next stream. I think I'm just going to take it one section at a time. So I'm thinking that bear section that is to the right, that what was a habitat, and then I deleted it because it was just a big brick mess. I think I'm going to turn that into a habitat on my next stream. I'm not sure. What do you guys want to see? Are there animals anybody wants to see or is excited about in the packs? I own all of the Planet Zoo packs, so if there is an animal you're like dying to see in my zoo, let me know. If I don't already have them, I can add them. You know, I'm open to some suggestions or requests, so to speak. Yeah. I do have a walk-in already, or a walk-in habitat already with Indian peafowl. I was trying to see what to do with that corner piece, and this is when it dawned on me that I was going to have to just cover the entire middle, that I wasn't going to be able to use the pathing in the middle. And I was like, okay, stop being stressed over that. Just delete that, move that, delete that, move that, and we're just going to not worry about it. I will tell you, instead of that's another trick or tip I have for Planet Zoo. If you're new to Planet Zoo, don't let the little things stress you out. Move past them. Just, if it's not working, stop trying with it for a minute, go do something else, and come back to it. Or let your mind think of other thoughts or ideas or actions. And see, that's what I did just there. I was readjusting the bottom of the stairs. It was starting to stress me out. So I just kind of stopped messing with it and went back to adjusting these so they were all perfect and ready, laid out, so I wouldn't have to mess with them again, because I already knew what look I was going for there. And it's just a matter of readjusting all of these to be lined up with each edge. Cool thing is I didn't have to add more pieces because they already were extra long. So it's just a matter of adjusting and moving this, and then I was going to have the outside of my food court lined up, ready to go, and we're good. The two sides have longer sections, while the other two sides have thinner sections, which work perfectly for me. And this was me trying to figure out what I was going to do with the food court situation. Was I going to put all the pieces in the middle? And then I was like, I kind of don't like that. I don't see how I'm going to do this. So I deleted that, stopped thinking about that. And then I started thinking of, okay, how are we going to make people so they can walk around in here? So I went back to figuring out where I was going to stick this stuff. It was just a matter of thinking it through. And then I realized, oh, they can get food outside of the inner food court area. So basically vendors on the outskirts. And I could make an eating area in the middle where people could go down into it and sit and relax around tables, chairs, etc. Maybe have a couple fountains. That's where my brain went with that. I was like, okay, we could make this a nice little oasis area. So I just had to set this up, and I realized that I still wanted to put the benches in there that I had previously. So I just had to rearrange it so I could have a pathing there, because the benches, you can't place benches without pathing. Because the park guests cannot walk anywhere where there is not path of some sort, whether it be the dirt pathing or whether it be the stone pavers or whatever. There has to be some sort of path. So then I just had to figure out whether I wanted one table, two tables, how I wanted it to look. And then I figured, let's just put one table. Let's put some benches around. I kind of fiddled with it a bit, figured out what I wanted. And I checked the back to see what it looked like, and then I just ended up moving it like that. Because I was like, that'll be a nice little, if they're not in the mood to go down the stairs, or maybe if you have somebody with a handicap or who's unable to climb the stairs, I wanted to make sure I had an eating area for somebody who could not do the stairs. So I rearranged that, and then I stared at this for a minute. I was like, okay, how am I going to do this with pathing and everything? And then I realized, okay, just need to make this all flat. It should all work great, which was a little bit of a stressor, because I thought I had already made it flat. It was not flat, so I kept having to mess with it, and yeah, we kind of worked it out to where most of it ended up being gridded, but there were certain pieces that were not gridded. So with the pieces not gridded, I just ended up taking big chunks out and making a 10-meter wide path and just attaching them, just so that I could have as much walk path as possible. It worked really well. It may look a little janky, but I realized at that point in time that I was not going to be putting the pathing system down below as my food court, that I was going to cover it with something. And once I realized I was going to cover it with something, I was no longer stressed out about having a beautiful pathing system down below. So I put as many people and walkways as I could, matched up the same kind of wood as the stairs, picked the flooring instead, and just matched it, sunk it, and put it in, which is really easy to lay. And of course you can see how it's not completely flat down there, so there's going to be some adjusting, a little bit of moving around, but don't worry, it'll happen. You'll see how it goes in a second. It's more for aesthetic, and this is the zoo that I wasn't necessarily stressing over being 100% perfect as far as stepping goes is more of an aesthetic. So then I just put the decorative pieces. I started out with one fountain and then I was like, oh, that is so huge, we're gonna need 2 fountains. So I moved them around, made sure they were even, decorated it, started adding in those chairs and tables that I talked about, moved some stuff around, repurposed some stuff, got rid of some stuff, made sure there was no long grass sticking out over the wood. And I knew I wanted some flowers and some, greenery in here. But I also love the splash of color. But I also had to make sure the walking areas on the outside side of it weren't just a bunch of just wood. So, yeah. So this is just me decorating it. Yeah, I love, love, love the new beautiful artistic look we get with the new Africa pack. It's very Moroccan feeling, I think. Egyptian, Moroccan, something like, it's just beautiful. I love it. I didn't want those to be perfect, so I just kind of spun them around and put them in different, like, avenues versus all being perfectly lined up. I put some of those in there because I thought they were neat looking. And then I just put trash cans, because obviously if you're going to eat down there, you're going to want trash cans close to where you're eating, so you can make sure the guests throw their food away or throw their wrappers or whatever away. And then I knew I was going to want some sort of plantings down there, some sort of something, and I wasn't sure what I wanted, so I was messing around with the colors because I wanted it to pop and be pretty. And I didn't want everything to be from the new Africa pack, so I put some of the old stuff in there from that. And then messed around with different colorings to make it still pop and be pretty. And then I realized, wait a minute, I have something else that I could repurpose. This beautiful planter that I spent a lot of time on. I didn't want to just delete it, so why not put that in there? And then I realized it was kind of lined up weird, so I think I undid it and then redid it. That's Planet Zoo. You'll move stuff and realize it's not straight, so you have to redo it, because sometimes it'll be in a place where you just can't grab a hold of it. It's fun. It worked. I thought it looked really good. And it brought that pop that I wanted in the middle, which was great. Then I just had to figure out what foliage or trees or whatever I wanted around the other planters, around the rest of the area. And once I figured out the trees I wanted, I just spun them a bit to make them look a little different. And, that's one of the key tricks to if you have to use the same tree over and over again, spin them a bit, move them. It'll make them sit the same way. That way the leaves aren't all laying the same direction, etc. And then I knew I wanted something in the bottom, so I was just trying to figure out what plants I wanted down there. Because you can also tuck trees down and make it look like bushes. But I was like, these actually look kind of good. So I think I ended up putting nettles down there, I think. Trust me, I messed with a lot of stuff. I can't quite remember what I put in. Yeah, nettles. I was right. Ha! Look at me. Yeah, so those nettles are great, by the way, for putting them around sections of buildings when it just doesn't look quite right. Kind of gives it that polished look. Yes, there's other plants in there than just a tree. And then I wanted something different in the middle planters. They weren't all just the exact same thing. And I thought that looked really cute. So I put that in there. And yeah, so that is really how it ended up looking. I thought it looked really nice, much better than it looked before. I'm not 100%, I'm 100% done with it. I'm thinking I want other things, and I was trying to figure out how I wanted the pathing beyond that to go. And then I was like, okay, we're stressing out. We're trying to figure out what we want next. Our brain isn't putting it together, so I think we need to just stop here. So I evened out the dirt, made it all flat and even and beautiful, so that when we come back for our next habitat or our next thing that we do, I'm ready to rock. I'm ready to just lay stuff down. Cleaned it all up so none of our past would be there. Played with the pathing a bit to see how I wanted it to lay. And then I was like, that's it. Okay, we're done. We're just going to flatten this out, make it ready to go for next stream. So this is just me messing with the pathing, seeing where I want it, and seeing if I want to just go ahead and pre-lay something. Yeah. So this is going to be a project, you know, and I was trying to see if I wanted it curved or wanted it straight. I didn't know what I was doing. I still don't know what I'm doing. What do you guys think should go there? What, I was thinking maybe like back-to-back tortoise habitats, like one huge walkthrough, but with a wall in between where the tortoises, you can walk through both types of tortoises. Kind of thinking maybe that. We could also put flamingos. That's an idea. Not sure. So yeah, there we go. Alright guys, let me know what you think. I hope you guys liked it. Please subscribe. Thank you so much for coming. Ring that bell. All those really cool YouTube things. And I'll catch you guys in the next one.